Canucks fans will have to deal with Connor McDavid for another 1,000 days. This is why I tell everyone to read Deepak Chopra and drink water. Anyways, will Quinn Hughes take a discount to stay with Vancouver? Probably not. Let's do this. Locked On Canucks.
The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Kyle, I might not be as glum on the Quinn Hughes contract situation as you are, but more on that in a minute. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bowen, and you're listening to another episode of Locked On Canucks. Before we dive into the show, got to shout out our friends over at FanDuel. Go download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $500 bet wins. And yes, there is some sadness that McDavid is going to be in the Pacific Division for another 1,000 days. Kyle, why do you got to put it that way, man? But honestly, we all knew that McDavid was going to re-sign in Edmonton. The question was for how long? And the fact that he only re-signed for 2 years, Kyle, at $12.5 million per, is a fascinating development. But I'm looking at it this way. McDavid just put the Oilers on notice. You know, this team, he's saying to them now, you got 3 years to build a championship team around me. We got to do it in the next 3 seasons. We got to see some hope or some Stanley Cup titles, or else I'm gone. And Kyle, I'm really starting to wonder if Quinn Hughes will do the same. And honestly, I think that it can make some sense that Hughes will do the same thing as McDavid here.
I don't know, man. Does it make a lot of sense for Quinn Hughes? Like, you're playing for the Canucks. McDavid's playing for the Oilers. Like, McDavid and the Oilers have made the Stanley Cup Finals 2 times in a row, and they've lost to the tax-free Florida Panthers. Like a steroid, like that, they're roided out. They're cheating, and that's how they're winning. Well, they're cheating the system. You got players openly saying on Florida, I stayed here because of the tax thing. It worked out. Marchand, Ekblad, Bennett. But Marchand was vocal about it. Like, that's how the Oilers lost Stanley Cups. So I think it's a completely different situation with Quinn Hughes. Straight up. Because, like, I'm taking the discount. I'm acting like Sidney Crosby. And I know McDavid didn't sign for 8 years, which, if you're an Oilers fan, is kind of scary. But to be honest, I'm just like jumping for joy knowing that our Stanley Cup window is at least open for the next 1,000 days. And I know it's a Canucks show. I'm just saying, if I'm an Oilers fan, I mean, you just got to take any extended amount of McDavid time you get. And it's the same thing with us and Quinn Hughes, because I think Quinn Hughes is that damn good. Like, he's under the tier below McDavid. I don't know, maybe like is Draisaitl on the McDavid tier? Like, you look at the playoff stats and you can kind of say that too. Like, we've seen a lot of Oilers hockey, and Draisaitl's just as good as Connor McDavid in the playoffs. Let's be honest and let's be real. Like, those two are dynamic. But where am I going with this? Oh yeah, I don't see Quinn Hughes taking a cash discount to stay with Vancouver. Maybe he does a 3-year thing. But I don't think he's going like, okay, I'm gonna sign for an extended 3 years. I'm a captain of a Canadian market. Thank you so much. This was a great honor. I'm not gonna just abandon ship, like quit talk it. I'll stick around and see this through, especially if we have some success this year. But this guy's not taking a cash discount for the Canucks. I mean, again, McDavid. I think us haters and naysayers, we like to troll the Oilers and, you know, maybe joke around their goaltending and the teams that they've built. But, dude, they've destroyed Dallas. They've destroyed Vegas in recent history, too. Have they not? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it makes sense for McDavid to be like, okay, whatever. Like, I'll make 12.5. Like, winning is super important to me, and I trust that you guys can get it done. Will Quinn Hughes trust that Rutherford can get it done? I don't know. And, just to continue, I know I got to let you go here, but I've watched the interviews with, like, Oilers management talking about the Connor McDavid situation. No stress in the world. Look at the way Rutherford talks about Quinn Hughes. Now, it's not openly stressful, but it's like, I don't know, seeded with a little bit of doubt, right? Oh, he wants to go play with his brothers. You never saw that energy from Mr. Jackson or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't. So this is like different scenarios. Like, I just don't see Quinn Hughes taking a discount.
let's ignore the discount part for a second. But Kyle, not believing that that Quinn Hughes will follow in the footsteps of Connor McDavid, I'm here to tell you why they will. It all starts with this, Kyle. You got to believe that the Canucks are going to be a winning team this season, right? But if you do believe that, and I do believe this team is at least playoff caliber, and with their goaltending and with their defense, they can make some noise in the playoffs. And that's all it might take for Quinn Hughes to sign a short-term extension with the Vancouver Canucks. And again, let's ignore the whole discount thing for a second. Look, Quinn Hughes is going to double his salary. Like, I think by the time he's eligible for an extension, he's a $15 million player. And I still think that's a discount for Quinn Hughes if you get him at that price. But look, two things have to happen. I think the Canucks have to be better than the Devils, and they have to show some playoff success. But if that happens, I do think there's a path for Quinn Hughes to say, you know what? I'm a captain of a Canadian market. This team has a chance to win the Stanley Cup. I do want to play with my brothers, but we got something going here. I want to give this a couple more years. I do think this is a realistic path for Quinn Hughes to take. Again, ignore the discount, but just the fact that, McDavid signed a 2-year extension, I really can envision Quinn Hughes doing something similar in Vancouver if they prove that they're a winning team this year, which, if all goes right, I think is going to be the case.
I agree with that. I think I could see him, sign for an extra 2 years, 3 years if the Canucks win some games this year. I think I was coming with the energy I was coming at you with, because I'm trying to have the fan base understand that if Quinn Hughes doesn't take a cash discount, a salary cap discount, you can't be mad at him. You can't compare 100%. Him. You can't compare him to Connor McDavid and look at Connor McDavid. He's moving like Sidney Crosby. He's trying to build a Stanley Cup contender. You can't do that in this scenario, because team wise, I know Quinn Hughes gets paid millions and he's the captain, and he lives a privileged life, and the Canucks have quote unquote given him a lot, but the success, what matters the most to a competitor like Quinn Hughes, it's just not there. So no matter what the cash amount is, if let's say Quinn Hughes does sign a 3-year deal, but it's still $16-17 million per, just take it. And I think it's best for the fan base not to drive up the negative energy in the city and connect it to the media and whatnot, and have narratives spew out about, but Quinn Hughes is not a team first guy. Because this is a very, very much an outlier situation. Connor McDavid's been so close twice in a row. A part of me believes that he's just I don't want to say he owes the city of Edmonton anything, but I don't know. I feel based on him getting so close, he kind of feels that way. And as the captain of the leader, getting so close, it kind of made sense for him to take less. Now this amount of less, whatever that means, is crazy. 12.5 is nuts. If he would have came in at 14 or 15, people would have still said what you and I are saying based on what Kaprizov signed for. But if again, Quinn Hughes signs for 17 mil, 18 mil, 19 mil, 3-year deal, just appreciate it. Okay. Don't hate on it. That's all I want to say.
I'm telling you, I don't know if there's anyone in Vancouver. I shouldn't say there's probably a couple people, but almost everyone in Vancouver will be ecstatic if Quinn Hughes signs for the max 20% of the cap for a 2-year deal, right? If he signs a 2-year extension worth $22 million a season, it won't matter. Fans won't care.
Oh, fans will care. What are you talking about? You don't think some people will care? Are there anyone in the comments right now that would actually care about that? Because some people are looking at what Crosby did for so long, and now look at what McDavid did. Some people are going to want Quinn Hughes to sign for a couple years, sure, is 7 or 8 or 2 or 3, but they're going to not want him to take 22%. They're going to do the whole good old Canadian thing. I know Hughes isn't Canadian, but look at what Kaprizov did, and Bill Guerin's definitely slapping himself in the face straight up. Something. I'm not going to say something went wrong there, because this is an outlier situation, but I'm telling you right now, Connor McDavid just created a leverage point in negotiations with teams and their star players. Now it's up to the star players to ultimately understand that they still control everything. They could be yo, this is not about Connor McDavid. This is about my negotiation. You want me? Pay me this much. And it'll work out, and there'll be a new standard. But all in all, come on, there's going to be parts of the fan base that are going to be pissed off at Quinn Hughes for signing for max money without playoff success. based on what McDavid did today. That is just the truth. That we play in a Canadian market, and McDavid's the best player, one of the best players of all time. And this guy's like team first. Go get it done. Like, let's build a contender. Like this, isn't this team, the Vancouver Canucks, facing like a $4 million dead cap hit too for this year next for OEL, if I'm correct? Like, there's going to be people without the playoff success as a team demanding that Quinn Hughes stick around, A, and B, that he leaves money off the table. Come on, Trevor. Come on. I would say there's going to be 30% of the fans feeling like that, at least.
Yeah, I think the definition of leaving on the money on the table can be a fascinating discussion point, though, right? Like, is leaving money on the table Quinn Hughes signing at like 16 million and leaving like, $4 million on the table because he probably could sign for 20 by the time he's eligible for an extension? Like, I would say so, right? And the fact too that, I do think friendship matters as well, right? Like, winning matters first and foremost for these ultra-star players, but you look at Leon Draisaitl, right? Like, one of Connor Garland's best friends, like they're each other's best man, groomsmen, all that stuff. Quinn Hughes, he's just had two of his brothers and closest friends on the team, Brock Besser and Connor Garland, signed to be here for the next number of seasons. So the fact that his brothers are here, and if this team can start winning some hockey games, which they're capable of doing with this roster, I could really see a scenario next summer where Quinn Hughes is saying, yeah, let me stay for a couple more seasons. Let me sign a short-term extension. Let's see if we can win a Stanley Cup. Let us know in the comments. Am I crazy, or is Quinn Hughes going to follow in the footsteps of Connor McDavid? Or you look Cal Bound and you think it's probably not happening?
No, I think it's going to happen. I just don't think he's going to take a discount. I feel as if the Canucks, I would advise Rutherford and Alvin not to, and I don't think they'll do this, but I hope they don't bring the McDavid contract to the table and be like, yo, look at what this guy's doing. You got to do it too. It's like, nah, whatever. I'm still blank check mentality with Quinn Hughes. For real. That's just the way I am. And yeah. I'm cool with this guy signing a short-term deal, even if we have to pay him Kaprizov money. For real.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I do have faith that Rutherford and Alvin would stick handle that properly. They know what's out there in New Jersey. They know that they can't. Yeah. That Quinn Hughes is going to have all the leverage. But for me, if he signed at 16 million or 17 million, that would still be a discount, and it could probably still allow the Canucks to get some other business done, especially since, they've extended guys like Besser, Garland, Pettersson, and Hronek at pretty reasonable cap hits compared to what we're going to see over the league over the next number of seasons. Throw Thatcher Demko into that equation as well. All right, Kyle, on the other side, let's talk about the Canucks of today. You touched on the roster decisions last night, and let's get into the vibiest story around the Vancouver Canucks, and that is an 18-year-old kid, not a single hair on his chest, but he's going to play for your Vancouver Canucks on Thursday night. We'll get to the craziest Braden Coots comparisons coming up on the other side here on Locked On Canucks. All right, before we get back to the show, let's shout out our friends over at It's Monarch Money, baby. Do you not have the time or the care level to pay attention to your accounts, like your RSP, your TFSAs, your properties, any of that good stuff? Well, guess what? Monarch Money, they're there for you, baby. Monarch Money makes things easy peasy lemon squeezy. They act like your personal CFO, where you can put all your accounts in one place, okay? And not only does Monarch Money make managing your finances easier, they've also lowered my stress, baby, because you can link your accounts up with your partner's accounts, and boom, bam, you can track things together as a couple, and that's eased my stress. And because of that, I can last 43 seconds longer in the bedroom. Number 43. It's a magical thing here on the West Coast. So right now, make sure you go check out Monarch Money and get 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com/lockedonnhl. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com/lockedonnhl.
Boom, bam. Okay, we back doing this, talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Man, oh man, the season's around the corner. Again, Monday for all of us, and I'm not gonna lie, a dark day in Canucks history, man. It is. I know Braden Coots made the team as an 18-year-old. Now it's officially official, and John Shannon's saying he's gonna, stick around and play game one as well. But Trevor, 1,000 days of more McDavid, man. I mean, I know there was a small chance that he was going to leave ASAP, but man, oh man, it would have been so funny. I would have been so happy. I would have lived a longer life. I would have gotten married sooner. But now I gotta, dude, Trevor, come on, man. Don't judge me for being mad at this, okay? When we grew up, we were watching Sean Horkoff. We were watching Oilers fans get so happy that they had Ryan Smith on their team. Right? Like, who's the better player, Ryan Smith or Jake DeBrusk? You know what I'm saying? Like, they were bragging about Ryan Smith, Ladislav Schmid, Alice Hemsky. Oh, Alice Hemsky. Oh, my God, Alice Hemsky. Skilled player, sure, great, congratulations, but those were the Oilers. Mike Comrie, you know what I'm saying? Jason Smith was their captain. And now Connor McDavid's their captain. He's going to be their captain for like what seems like forever. And it's like, again, I'm still not used to the Oilers being good and like so hated in my heart. And yeah, I thought it was going to end, but here I am. Now I got to drink more water, pray. And I don't know. I'm going to have to start working with my dad, to be honest.
Man, you went to a dark place over news that we all knew was coming. And honestly, I thought McDavid was going to sign for at least 3 or 4 years. The fact that it's only 2 years, to me, it's a good news day, man. Like, what? You're so glum on a Monday, dude. Yo, let's hit the prayer button for a second, man. Unbelievable, Kyle. Come on, let's go.
Okay,
nothing but love for your Vancouver Canucks, and Edmonton. You can suck it as always. Braden Coots, we learned yesterday. Kyle Bowen talked about on Locked On Canucks. Go check out that episode if you haven't already, about Braden Coots making the opening night lineup. And Kyle, this was not a surprise as we got down to the wire, but surely a surprise heading into training camp. I don't know if there was anyone who realistically saw Braden Coots making this roster, but from day one at camp, he showcased the speed. He was pretty good in the faceoff dot. He was making plays. He can shoot. Man, oh man, but now it's all going to start for real on Thursday. Now, I did want to bring up one other comparable that we haven't talked about in regards to Braden Coots. And man, oh man, that's got to be, let me start by this. Okay, so Braden Coots, he's been compared to other, good NHLers in recent history, right? Reading some draft profiles, Braden Shen gets brought up. Anthony Cirelli gets brought up, a very decent, second line center, right? But one of the comparisons in terms of 18-year-olds that surprisingly made the team out of camp, one of the big ones, probably the biggest one, Patrice Bergeron of the Boston Bruins, another young right shot center, slightly undersized at the time, drafted 45th overall in the 2003 NHL draft. And lo and behold, he had a great camp with Boston that offseason, that training camp, I might add. Plays for the Bruins in 2003-04, just months after being drafted, and puts up, a very respectable 16 goals and 39 points in 71 games. And the Bruins loved him so much that after the lockout, they decided to trade Joe Thornton and build around Patrice Bergeron. And of course, although the Bruins absolutely lost the Joe Thornton trade, it ended up working out for them when they won the Stanley Cup, of course. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that Braden Coots is the next Patrice Bergeron, but this just doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen very often that there are guys like Braden Coots drafted outside the top 10 that make a team on opening night. And sometimes scouts, they just mess up, right? And again, I think Canucks fans got to temper expectations on Coots. I'm probably not helping that with this comparison, but look at the list. There are just not a lot of guys drafted outside the top 10 that go on to make the NHL as an 18-year-old. Braden Coots is becoming one of the few. And typically, those guys go on to have pretty damn good NHL careers.
Yeah, and I mean, look at this quote from general manager Mike O'Connell back in 2003, okay? He's had an excellent camp. He earned a roster position. Okay, that sounds similar. And he's a very smart player and has shown good instincts both with and without the puck. Okay. That sounds similar to who? Oh, yeah. Braden Coots. And again, Trevor, I keep saying this. And we did this when we brought up the whole Ryan O'Reilly thing, too. Go check out that episode. Because I know it's like mission impossible for 18-year-old athletes to make the NHL. Pretty much. If you're not drafted like 1 or 2, ain't going to happen. But Trevor, you and I, come on. I work out at Club 16, Trevor Linden. You do P90X. You still have a DVD player. I don't even know how you're playing P90X. a lot of our commenters, a lot of our fan base, I'm going to assume, other than who's the guy that has like the Jack Muscles that is always commenting on our Zach? Is his name Zach? Anyways, a lot of us aren't elite athletes. We think we know what it takes based on stuff we've read, stuff we've seen, but we're not in the room. Like, yeah, Trevor's at practice, boom, bam. You can get a grasp of the aura around Braden Coots, 18-year-old Braden Coots. But I'm telling you, we clearly don't know. So it's best for us, because of what's happened with guys like Ryan O'Reilly and, Patrice Bergeron, to have a little bit of faith. I know as Canucks fans, faith and, us don't really, come together and make love. But let's have a little bit of faith here that we got it so right with Braden Coots, that we somewhat won the NHL draft by picking this guy at number 15. And this guy's a true leader, one of the hardest working players. His IQ's off the charts, and he's going to learn a lot. And it's not stupid to say that he's going to surpass expectations. He's going to last 80 games. He might put up 30-plus points, and boom, bam. We just found the next guy for our team moving forward. Like, there's a chance of this. I want Canucks going into this and watching the Braden Coots experiment, whatever way they want to do so, but just have faith again. That, we might have got this really right, and this guy could be like one of those alpha players, like those alpha athletes that defies the odds, because it's been done in the past, Trevor.
Yeah, absolutely, it has been done in the past. Again, rarely it's been done in the past, but it has been done in the past now. One thing I did want to note is that it is happening with more regularity. 18-year-olds drafted outside of the top 10 making opening night lineups. It's still not common, right? Like, you had Jet Luchenko last year from the Flyers, played 4 games, went back down. Like, that could absolutely be the case with Coots too, right? You had who else? Cole Sillinger from a couple of years back make the team as an 18-year-old. And this year, I don't have the list in front of me. I think Coots and is it Ben Kindle from the Pittsburgh Penguins? Both guys drafted outside the top 10 making rosters on opening night. So it is happening with slightly more regularity. It is a younger man's game nowadays. But that being said, it does not happen often. This is still not a regular occurrence in today's NHL, especially playing center.
But look at a guy like Cole Sillinger, right? Like, he makes the Columbus Blue Jackets as an 18-year-old, and he wasn't like a top elite prospect, but he's learning from like Rustislav Klesla and David Vaborny. You know what I'm saying? Like, this Kittle guy, he's learning from Sidney Crosby, and Braden Coots, I'm telling you, like, this matters a lot. I don't know if Braden Coots makes this team if Quinn Hughes isn't the captain of this team. I don't know if Braden Coots makes this team and I'm not saying this just out of like the positional sense, but if JT Miller's in that locker room. No, for real. Like, the fact that they're like the leadership group has changed completely, and it's more so about like the practical things, and like it seems boring, but like preparation as opposed to like big charismatic energy or just big energy in general, big personality. Like, it just guys who love hockey and come to the rink early and take care of their bodies and, take this ish very, 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 very seriously. Like, the fact that that's like the people you have to look up to in that locker room makes this transition easier for somebody like Braden Coots. I mean, you got Adam Foote in the room as well. But yeah, I just think like Braden Coots and Quinn Hughes, based on what they sound similar. Like, their cadence sounds similar. And based on what I've heard and read, and Trevor, maybe you can attest to this, like, they seem like hockey nerds. They seem like they're in sync. And I just feel like Braden Coots is going to learn so much ASAP in this environment as opposed to other 18-year-olds. I know we're the Canucks, and we like historically have sucked over the last 10 years, and that's a lot to say. But I think you have to lean on having Quinn Hughes here for as long as we do when it comes to like developing players. And yeah, a lot of these young guys, Coots included, but it's the same with DPD. It's the same with Mancini. It's the same with Lecker Mackey. Like, again, Miller's not in that room. You don't have to look at anyone else but Quinn Hughes on how to prepare and be an NHLer.
Yeah, absolutely, Kyle. And I agree with you to the point where would Coots make this team if Hughes wasn't here? Probably less likely. But I think even a bigger reason that he made the team is that the vibes around the Vancouver Canucks have been surprisingly good heading into this season, despite all the turmoil from last year, despite the new coaching staff, despite the fact that they missed the playoffs by 6 points last year. The vibes seem to be off the roof with your Vancouver Canucks. Let's touch on that, a couple more news and notes, and some of your comments, including Braden Coots comparisons from you, the listener, here on the other side on Locked On Canucks. All right, before we get back to it, baby, let's shout out our friends over at FanDuel, all right? NFL season in full swing. The NHL back this week. Oh my God, fantasy drafts going on. Guess what? I got the Canuck buys, baby. I drafted Quinn Hughes second overall, and I got no shame about it, okay? You know why? Because sometimes you got to draft with your heart and draft the players you truly believe in. Wherever you're playing, though, if you're betting on sports itself, so you like the prop bets, a little Quinn Hughes prop bet, over under the points, boom, bam, go check out FanDuel, okay? Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it smacks, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Man, oh man, Quinn Hughes points over under on FanDuel. I was at 90.5 last I saw it. Whew. Oh my God, this guy's getting 100 points this year. Book it! All right, so what are you waiting for? Go visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today to get started.
Okay, we back doing this, talking about your Vancouver Canucks, talking about Braden Coots, talking about Quinn Hughes, talking a lot about comparables. Speaking of which, before this episode ends, Trevor, we got to compare our fantasy hockey teams. Okay, the first ever Locked On Fantasy Hockey Draft, courtesy and powered by Auto Draft, happened yesterday, and I want to compare the lineups and talk about, Trevor's bad commissioning, to be honest. But before we get there, Trevor, don't look at me, okay? We had one rule on the table. What are the chances that, you allowed players to draft Oilers players when I said, yo, that's not allowed? And next thing you know, McDavid signs with the Oilers the next day. Everyone go boo Trevor. Next comment. Oh, man. I like this comment from Zach, okay? This isn't about Coots or Lecker-Mackey. But Lecker-Mackey was compared a lot to Pasternak by DeBrusk, right? And the reason why I like this comment so much is because I read it wrong the first time. I don't know why I read Coots and Lecker-Mackey can learn a lot from Jake DeBrusk, but I do want to focus on my thoughts on that just a little bit, okay? Again, no Miller in the room, no big ego. Things are, a little quieter in that room, and other players have, they have like room to step up and be those guys, be examples. And we've seen Jake DeBrusk, maybe not statistically speaking, but it seems as if he did the preparation and he's just way better this season. Something happened. And oh yeah, he's a former Boston Bruin. I know we don't like to talk about that, but this guy learned around the Marchands, the Charas, the Bergerons, right? And he's that guy. He's another guy that like these young guys can look up to. And I just started doing some reading on Patrice Bergeron. And, he was talking about being an 18-year-old kid when he reported to training camp. And, things were tough, and he was trying to come to grips with his new surroundings. But there was Martin Lapointe, came to the rescue. He was entering his 13th season in the NHL and the third with the Bruins. And, he took him under his wing. And I think, Trevor, you and I were talking about this a couple days ago. And I don't know if it's because we're judging Jake DeBrusk for being a Pokemon player. I don't know. I've tried, Trevor, I've been hanging out too much with you. You're a rugged, good old dude. And sometimes the bully instincts, bully bags comes out and, you rub off on me. But man, oh man, like when it comes to like leaders and who could take Coots under his wing, like why haven't we brought up Jake DeBrusk a lot? Like we keep joking about like Kiefer Sherwood. Well, not joking about Kiefer Sherwood, but we've been joking about Evander Kane because of the personality and whatnot and, his veteranship. But Jake DeBrusk has a lot of personality. He seems like a good guy. He could be that leader.
Yeah, I think the reason he hasn't been brought up is the main one is just he hasn't played with him, right? Like we're starting to gravitate towards the guys who you see Coots with around the rink or are directly playing on a line with him, and that's really been Kane or Sherwood, right? So, Jake DeBrusk, I think absolutely could be one of those guys, right? He's been around a winning culture with the Boston Bruins, very positive, affable guy. So yeah, I think he could be one of those guys. I do wonder, yeah, like maybe how critical Jake DeBrusk would be or in terms of what advice he'd give. He's such a positive guy. I just wonder how critical he might be in terms of, hey, you got to do this differently, you got to do that differently, or here's how I would do things. But yeah, he absolutely could be one of those leaders and probably should be, to be honest, just based on where he slots into this team as a top line winger.
Yep, I'm interested, man. I think based on what DeBrusk went through in Boston, like if he wants it, he has an ability to set an example for, a lot of Vancouver Canucks, including the young guys. Anyways, what are some extra news and notes here? I'm gonna load up our fantasy rosters, but just keep talking. No, it's a big day. It's a big day. Like, I haven't gotten your thoughts on the R.G. Baines thing. We haven't gotten your thoughts on the Mancini thing. So just take it away while I load up our rosters here.
Yeah, first and foremost, just a bit of news. Former Canuck Sammy Blais, one of the guys claimed off of waivers today from Montreal, claimed by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let us know in the comments. Would you like to see Sammy Blais on this team right now over guys like R.G. Baines and Linus Karlsson? I'm trolling a little bit. I hope the answer is likely no. But yeah, in terms of R.G. Baines, Victor Mancini, some of the roster decisions that were made, look, Coots and Lekkerimäki, it isn't a surprise that they made the team. I still do wonder if Coots does belong up here and if it's best for his development to stick with the team long term. But I think Coots has 9 games to prove it now, right? He has 9 more games to prove if he belongs in the NHL this season or if it's better that he goes back to junior. In terms of R.G. Baines, I mean, really fascinating right now that not only did R.G. Baines make the team, he's still practicing on the second line, Kyle, alongside Philip Hedl and Connor Garland as of practice yesterday, right? Again, Teddy Blueger dinged up, so he wasn't in the lineup. So Karlsson was the 13th forward. There's 14 forwards on the roster right now, not including Nils Höglander, who's injured. R.G. Baines still skating on the second line. And again, I think you wanted to see more from him against the Oilers. We talked about that already, but he's crafty. He's got the hockey IQ to get it done. And he showed moments in that game of his creative playmaking ability. I want to see if R.G. Baines can unleash it a bit more. And quite honestly, if Teddy Blueger's not healthy, or when Teddy Blueger is healthy, I should say, Baines might be a placeholder for Aatu Räty, who I think will slide over to wing while Coots, Blueger, Hedl, and Pettersson play center. And quite honestly, I think a spot where Räty could fit is right on that second line alongside Hedl and Connor Garland. Okay. The Victor Mancini thing, Kyle, I know you were upset.
Can I set you up for a bit? Can I set you up for a bit? Like, no, I just want you to elaborate on that. Like, why do you think like Baines is a placeholder for Räty as opposed to like Räty just getting that spot and letting Baines sit in the press, waiting his turn? Like, why is it Räty over Baines? Is it just because of foot speed or because Ratu's not like a full-time winger? I want your hockey nerdism to like make sense of that for me.
Yeah, I just think playing on a line with Philip Hedl and Connor Garland, you would benefit by having a better shooter on that line. Like R.G. Baines is not a shooter. He's never been a shooter in the AHL. His shot volume is very low. Like he is more of a playmaker. That's what I do think. Like you got 3 smart hockey guys on that line, so it's interesting, but there's no pure shooter. Philip Hedl could shoot the puck. He's probably he is the pure shooter on that line right now. But Aatu Räty, I think, gives you more of a sniping threat on that line. Beside Philip Hedl and Connor Garland.
Why are the Canucks doing the opposite then? That was my question.
Because Teddy Blueger's injured. I think that's the primary reason why it's Teddy Blueger's injured and not practice.
Sorry.
I think if Teddy Blueger is back practicing, he's going to slide in the 4th line spot right now, which is alongside O'Connor and Kiefer Sherwood. And Räty probably slides up to second line left wing. At least that's my sense right now. And we'll see. That third line right now of Kane, Coots, and Lekkerimäki is a bit of a wild card. Can that actually work in the regular season? It waits to be seen. I mean, these guys killed it in the preseason, but worth noting that they often played against weak competition, right? They were not going up against the top lines, even in the preseason on a nightly basis. I know Braden Coots had one good check on Leon Draisaitl during his one shift out there, so that's a good sign. But these guys are playing against weaker preseason competition. Let's see if they can do it in the NHL on a regular basis. One more note on Victor Mancini. Kyle, I know you were sad. He didn't make the team. It's short term. And I know you said that, and I think most listeners recognize it. It is short term. I see some talk about like, oh, why didn't they just waive P.O. Joseph? Or they didn't waive him because he's hurt and otherwise would have kept Mancini, or it sends a bad message. Look, I think all this means is that they didn't want to lose Baines and Karlsson on waivers. They wanted to see what Coots and Lekkerimäki look like in the lineup right now. And Mancini, in their eyes, was going to sit over DP. Like in my mind, one of them was going to go back to the AHL. I do not think this is going to be a long-term thing. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if one of them got called up for the road trip heading out, their 5-game road trip after the game in Calgary. The Calgary at home, Edmonton on the road, St. Louis at home, then a 5-game road trip. So by that point, before they go on their long road trip, we may see Mancini back up. But I think it's going to depend on how the young guys like Coots, Lekkerimäki, Baines, Karlsson, how they look and how they're playing in games and in practice.
And then also, like, you think that like Baines and company have like a 1 week trial still, or is it like a POJ getting sent down? Like, how would you make the math work if Mancini were to get called up?
I think if they like what they see from Coots, Lekkerimäki, Baines, and Carlson, or let's put it this way, if they like what they're seeing from Coots and Lekkerimäki and they want to see more and they don't want to lose Baines and Carlson, I could see POJ getting waived.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't know, he might get claimed, but after all these teams have set their 23-man rosters, unless there's an injury, I'm not quite sure if he's going to get claimed. And even if he does get claimed, so be it, right? You can call Jimmy Schultz to be your 7th defenseman if you really wanted to. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Whoa. Let's not do that, okay? Let's not do that. I want to bring up
respect of Jimmy Schultz's name, man. Come on.
I want to bring up a comment that we got from yesterday's episode too, because I need you to, you're here. I was there yesterday to break down the roster. I want to just spend some more time with you when it comes to the whole Derek Forbort thing. Okay, so let's run it again. Comment of the yesterday. Okay. This again comes from Sean Big Johnson. He's the one that brought up this point. Now, Sean Big Johnson, I guess he's a regular watcher of the show, and he replied back to my response to what he said after an episode we aired a couple of days ago. But he's saying here, to clarify, Derek Forbort has the best goals against per 60 out of every NHL defenseman on the PK last season, and that's with a minimum of 100 minutes played against the penalty kill. The exact number of goals against per 60 was 3. That means every 60 minutes played on the PK, he was on the ice for the least amount of goals, which was 3. Okay, Trevor, I'm gonna assume you can confirm this, or we can just believe in Sean Big Johnson III. Sean Big Johnson, what if your girl called you Trevor Big Bags? Big, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is he Sean? Anyways. Where am I going with this? Oh, yeah. Derek Forbort makes the team because he's an elite penalty killer. Confirm or deny?
Confirm, 100%, right? And Sean Big Johnson, oh my God, Big Johnson, unbelievable name. Yeah, he's right. I mean, Derek Forbort statistically, in terms of the analytics, has been one of the best penalty killers in the NHL, which says something because often he's going up against top penalty killers in the league, right? And look, I think the Canucks as a whole, like, you got to give this coaching staff a lot of credit. This coaching staff had the Canucks playing like one of the best PKs in the league last season. But we've heard other players say it before. Often it does come down to the players. They're buying to the system and they're buying to blocking shots, clogging up lanes. And again, Derek Forbort has been really solid out there on the PK. And it helps when you're playing with guys like Teddy Blueger and Pius Suter, who are also just fantastic penalty killers as well. I think this has a chance to be a bit of an X factor for the Canucks. They can keep up their penalty killing from last season. So, look, Forbort deserves to stay in the lineup until otherwise, until Petey and Mancini can maybe clean things up a bit more on the defensive side, get a bit more experience, and take on regular penalty killing roles. For Marcus Pettersson, he spent a lot of time with Sidney Crosby, but yes, he ranks up there in terms of even strength points for sure. I know statistically it was like the ice was so heavily tilted in Marcus Pettersson's favor. It was kind of like the Quinn Hughes effect a little bit, but I think it was more the Sidney Crosby effect and Marcus Pettersson being a benefactor. But look, he's a very smart hockey player who he can get the puck in the hands of his offensive players. And I did like Sean Big Johnson's comment about Dan Hamhuis. So there's a bit of Hamhuis in this game in the sense that he's not flashy, but he can get the puck up the ice quick and boom, bam, there you go.
I think we got to go because the internet connection is lagging. I think the people are saying we're lagging a lot. And I wanted to read the fantasy hockey teams that we both drafted, but I think we should save it for tomorrow, okay? We got to figure out what's going on with StreamYard right now, because yesterday I was doing some BS too. So, as Olivia's saying, have you tried turning off Napster? Trevor, are you downloading Maroon 5's album again for the 100th time? Let's get out of here, okay?
Let's get out of here, man. Turning off the Napster, taking a nap. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon here on
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.